Hello everyone and welcome to Notepads All Studs. I am your host Alex Corbisiero, and joining me on this exciting journey is my good friend and former USA Rugby Eagle, none other than Ryan Matyas. We are really excited to be covering the Asahi Super Dry Pacific Nations Cup. We'll be reviewing each round on this show. I couldn't think of anyone else other doing it with you. And I thought I'd use this opportunity to share one story about Ryan Matyas, which holds dear and sort of sums up the man he is. Obviously, early in our friendship, I'd probably only been in the States or in California for about 6 months. We were friends. I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. I had to travel back to the UK immediately for emergency surgery to get it out. But I had an apartment here. I had all my stuff and everything to deal with. Ryan stepped up. He moved all my stuff out of my apartment. He fixed everything in the apartment that was broken to make sure I didn't pay any extra fees. And then on top of that, while I was going through chemotherapy, he actually shaved his head in solidarity to go through it with me, and pretty much sent me a message every day checking in and sending me well wishes and prayers. So for that, Ryan, I'm very grateful, and I hope that gives a little bit of insight into you and our viewers, to the person you are behind the microphone and behind all the rugby.
Hey, my man, always will be Team Corbs.
We got it, brother, we got it. Let's talk sort of the weekend's rugby action we just had. It was the opening round of the Pacific Nations Cup. We've also got the USA Eagles in this competition. They haven't played yet, but obviously, Ryan, knowing that you're very close to a lot of the boys in the team, have you been speaking to any of the lads? How are they feeling coming into this thing?
Yeah, actually, guy who's in the line at my wedding, Nate Augsburger, we had lunch the other day, and man, he's just really excited about the group that Scott's brought together. Scott Lawrence is doing some incredible things with the program, really centering the group around gratitude, and they've just been focusing on themselves, focusing on their procedures, their practices, bringing the group together, breeding that culture, that selflessness, work rate culture, and I couldn't be more excited about the trajectory this USA team's on.
Oh, absolutely buzzed hearing that. I'm actually going to go in this week and watch some of their training camp. I've heard such good things about the environment and what they're doing, and then me personally need to see some live scrums.
Oh, yeah.
Now that the MLR's over, I haven't really had my fix up close and personal, so I'm really excited for that. And they've obviously got a huge opener this weekend on Sunday, taking on their rivals in Canada. Canada in must-win scenario as well. Huge game to kick off for the US.
I mean, it's a dream start. Like, for the US, you really couldn't ask for anything more. Home game against Canada, like, this is the best way to start this competition. It'd be a great opportunity for them to, this is a very winnable game, probably their most winnable game to start off with. So to be able to go into this weekend in Los Angeles, there's going to be a great home crowd. The weather's going to be beautiful. We're going to be able to see that style of play that Scott's pushing onto this group, that really exciting style of play to really highlight our athletes, and it's going to be a barn burner.
And I think as well, obviously we're talking the build to 2027, but really with Scott Lawrence, everything that's being put in place is the framework to that build, really.
That's
the
right.
2031 Home World Cup, historic moment for the sport in America. How exciting is to have that on the horizon as well?
Oh man, it really is a dream come true. Having the MLR here obviously is phenomenal, but then being able to host a World Cup, I mean, it's going to explode. I really do believe that, and American rugby is going to go in a place and never look back.
Well, actually, Ryan, we're going to have much more time to talk about the Eagles later in the show, but let's get back to the Pacific Nations Cup. In case you missed it, 2 games actions across the weekend. It's now time for our Notepads All Studs Tries of the Week. Obviously, Fiji had scored early in this game, but this was Samoa's response, and you just see some of the physicality out there, Ryan. Some big collisions going out there with some big men. Mataval then hits his man,
Come on.
Lailua, who gets the try. Incredible. Here, our next try is Yosefo Masi, and let's talk about a one-man band. This try does it all. Look at the line break. You're a former centre, you'll appreciate this. The extra leg drive that gets them near. Fiji then with the pick, right on the line, and then who is it? Masi again, back up his feet.
Double.
Repeat effort. Gets the try, absolutely outstanding, and that was a huge moment to sort of shift Fiji back in the game as Samoa were really starting to get some momentum. And then our next try is from Fiji again. This one by scrum half Frank Lamani. Good sort of set piece launch. Move the ball out wide. Samoa think there's numbered up. Little grubber through. Kick through. Just misses it. And then Lamani dives on there for the try. He was absolutely on form in this game and a key catalyst to what Fiji were doing. And then our next try of the weekend comes from Warner Derns in Japan against Canada, and it was part of Japan's blistering first half start. This man was unstoppable in this game. 22 years old, a big piece of kit, moving like that. No one wants to see that in front of them when they're trying to make tackles.
What a freak athlete. Look at him skip out of his tackle and like that goose step right there. Bro, 6'7" with that speed. What am I supposed to do, coach? What do you want me to do?
Just in the spokes, lads, in the spokes. Our next try was Canada, actually, and this was a part of their second half comeback.
Bang.
Blitz, and look at this. Talon McMillan, hard line off the maul.
You could have put a brick wall in front of that guy. He would have smashed straight through it, and that left-footed step is so class.
And then our next try was the response from Japan. Bang. Just as you thought that Canada were maybe clawing their way back into this one, a loose kick at the start, puts behind, you think, okay, pressure Japan in their own half. Now you just need to have a good defensive chase line. When you've got players like this, like Nakambulla, who comes out of nowhere, gets round the edge, back inside, an absolute pocket rocket there. No one's touching him in the corner.
Bro, the one-handed snag, like this dude could be a wide receiver. Look at the one-handed snag here, and then he just hits the burners. Just absolute gas.
It's just that little bit. The 23 fixes the defenders enough with a bit of footwork that creates the edge, and just like that, he's gone. That guy is absolute lightning. And then our next try, Ryan, this one's a bit of a doozy.
Go on.
But my Canadian brothers stand up. Little kick above, ball bounces, and what a tap down.
Stop.
Oh my days. Wow. What a finish from there, and what a way to finish our segment of our first ever, Ryan, tries of the week. But let's talk Japan first, because I think really Eddie Jones got to be pretty happy with that, especially how clinical they were running up that big lead early on.
I mean, it's that Eddie Jones style of play, right? It's fast, it's exciting, the transitions, boys get their tails up, they know they can have a crack and have that freedom with responsibility. I mean, some of those tries are just incredible. I mean, also you have, WD-40 sliding through stuff, making things happen. Jesus.
That's what I liked about Japan, is I think Japan have always had the up-tempo style of play. Like since Eddie brought it from that 2015 World Cup, it continued under Jamie Joseph. He's now back there. What I like about this team is I see a bit more punch. Yeah. He's obviously brought Neil Hatley in with him as well, his forwards coach, who'd been at Australia, who'd been at England previously as well. I thought the set piece looked good. And knowing Hacks, he's picked a pretty big pack. He hasn't gone, a little bit more dynamic, and they've gone for a bit more bulk, which I think is the sweet spot for Japan, so they can handle some of the bigger teams in the competition and still be able to bring that exciting brand of rugby.
Bro, you nailed it. And like you said, they've always had the skills to be able to move the ball. They just haven't had those big punch gain line runners to create those moments and really take advantage of those seams.
We've already looked at the tries of the week, which didn't disappoint. But one of the things that got me excited about this show when it was first proposed to us was the fact that we also have a segment on the hits of the week. It's now time for our Notepads All Studs Tackle University. Have a look at this hit from Massey. We showed his try, but watch him. There he is. Boom. Back on the ground. See you later. Kept him just on the horizontal. That I think he got away with a bit of that downward pressure. Here, the number 8 from Japan. It's not a tackle. It's more of a speed bump as he runs over the number 10 of Canada. Tough day at the office.
What do you
fly off and you've got a mammoth like that coming at you.
Take your choice. Do you want to eat a knee or do you want to eat an elbow?
All right, this next one showing Japan, obviously, Werner Derns showing that he brought the hammer as well as delivering with his shoulder in D. Now it's time for Samoa to get one back on Fiji. What about that? Number 18. Big man on big man. Front row on front row. All right, let's keep these hits coming. And this one comes from Canada. And it's our man, McMillan. This time, Dakota. Big hit off the bench. And I'm glad we got some Canada hits back. It's not a tackle. Nice. It's a speed bump. His brother Talon McMillan getting the absolute hammer down as he drops it there on the cover tackle from Japan. Keeps pumping his legs. Here again, Werner coming in hot. Durns with the hammer again. He did that all game. And that's in the 80th minute. This guy had been going for 80 minutes. Didn't bring his sledgehammer back in the locker. He kept it with him all game. And he kept swinging it all night long. Love that stuff. And then what about this? Another one from Werner Durns. This is in the first half. 6 gets him up. You've got to be careful when you lift in the air. Gets him to ground. But what I like is also the counter up there. Very legal. Gives Japan a real chance of disrupting that ball. For all of you at your tackle university, we approve. Ryan, in your career, who hit you the hardest? You got any memories of that?
I really did my absolute best to try and run away from everyone hitting me, but we're playing against Samoa in San Sebastian, and I'm playing against Ed Fidel, and all game I'm trying to set up an outside break because he's a bit bigger and heavier, and I was like, oh, I'm going to step in, and then like maybe 4th, 5th time I'm trying to go around him. Second time I stepped in, he just put a dent, literally a dent in my bicep. I still have it to this day.
Oh, mate.
What about you?
He's an absolute wrecking ball. I got a few memories. I got Jacques Berger cut me in half in a Premiership final. It was more lower down, so it didn't hurt as much, but it was impressive if you saw it. Fair play to him. But the one that rocked me the most was England-New Zealand 2012. Rob Shaw makes a break. I think I'm getting an offload. I'm in maybe 5-10 meters from the line. Little did I know Kieran Reid had spotted me from about 20 meters away and hit me at full tilt. I had to come off. My arm, it hit between my bicep and tricep, and my arm immediately just filled with blood. Immediately just ballooned because it hit the bone, and I couldn't lift my arm. There was only like 10, 15 minutes left, but luckily I couldn't lift my arm for about 4 weeks. All right, that wraps up our Tackle University. But Ryan, let's move on because there's a lot more to talk about on this show. And we've already talked about him a fair few going through our tries and our defensive. But one guy who caught all the eyes, especially ours, was Werner Durns from Japan, the lock. Impressive outing. And he's actually made it as our Notepads All Studs Titan of the Week. So here is our Titan of the Week, taking on Canada for Japan, and just physicality from the big man. Just set the tone very early, 6 minutes into the game. Meter from the line, you don't want to be tackling that, Ryan.
Well, how do you stop him? That's 3 guys there. What do you want me to do, coach? What do you want me to do?
What we've already talked about on is he was devastating on both sides of the ball. Lots of big hits, clever counter up there as well. Repeat efforts, put an 80-minute shift in. Unbelievable so far. Bro,
what a really complete player. And then just slicks out of that one. WD-40. He's covered in grease. You can't get your hands on him.
My God. Outrageous finish from Werner Durns.
2-step. Dummy. Fend. Bang. Speed.
Exactly. Smashes it over. This guy had 14 carries. He had 1 line break, 12 tackles, 3 of them were Donovan, 1 turnover, 91 meters made carrying the ball, 1 offload, 5 defenders beaten, 2 tries, and he also won 4 lineouts. Not a bad day at the office.
Seriously.
Oh, what an offload.
If he kicks a conversion or hits a drop kick, I'm done. I'm out of here, bro. He's doing everything. An
absolutely complete performance from the big man. He'll be, looking to back that up in their next game coming up. Outstanding work from him. Congratulations, Werner Durns. You are our Titan of the Week. And mate, Ryan, like his stats as well. Like this guy's only 22 years old. All right, 6'8". How much do you think he weighs?
Don't tell me he's above 250 because that's nasty.
273 as well. And he's making 91 meters with the carries. Outstanding work, mate. What a find for Japan. And I'm sure someone who has a bright future ahead of them, and look forward to seeing more of them in this competition.
At that height and weight and age like NFL, come on, seriously.
Well, get someone later in the show, but you never know. The international pathway might have found another one to keep an eye on. This week as well, there was a lot of stuff going on off field as well that caught the eye. One thing that I noticed was how cool was it to see Sia Khaleesi and even Etzebeth walk out with Dricus du Plessis in Perth for his match with Israel Adesanya. Hell of an escort to a fight, eh?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want two other bodyguards. I mean, those dudes, like, you're like, oh, I'm an MMA fighter. I'm probably one of the baddest dudes on the planet. The baddest dude on the planet now? Is that how it works?
You could say at 185 anyway. There's probably a few guys on the weight classes that would argue, but
and you're rolling out with those dudes. Come on.
Especially Springboks, world champions back to back. He's going to defend the belt. I thought it was pretty special. Luke Thomas, who's one of my favorite MMA journalists, on his podcast, he had the best video clip. I'm not sure we're allowed to play it or not, but he was going, who is that guy? That guy is freaking enormous. Like, his mind was blown at the size of Etzebeth. I remember the first time I played Etzebeth was in 2012. He was a baby back then, but still an absolute specimen and known as an enforcer. Wow, what a moment, and just great visibility for the sport. We talk about rugby trying to get visible in America. That was all over the TV and pay-per-view in America and got people talking.
Oh, I mean, like, everyone wants to look at NBA and NFL athletes, right? And fair play, they're freak athletes, but we got some freak athletes too. Etzebeth is an absolute monster.
Right, Ryan, we've wrapped up all that's happened already in the PNC. We've got through a lot, but there's PNC rugby coming up this weekend. We've got two massive games. We've obviously got the USA Eagles at home against Canada, and then you have Samoa hosting Tonga. Let's talk Eagles in Canada. What are your thoughts on the game this weekend?
Yeah, I think USA is going to come out, and I think they're going to handle this one. I'm excited for this group. Scott Lawrence, dream start, Canada at home. What a way to kick off the tournament. It just doesn't get any better than that for me because I'm going as well.
You're absolutely buzzed, and I am too. And I think the only thing I would say is I always think the team that's had, and when these competitions kick off, the team that's had a game under their belt sometimes has an advantage. You get through some of the cobwebs, you learn a lot, you get up to speed, you realize where US haven't had that. So for me, that's probably the one catalyst, but I think on matchup to matchup, I think the Eagles match up pretty well. It's a must-win game for both teams.
Yes.
You know, Canada lose probably means they can't make the semifinals of this competition based on the results, and if you look at the standings, you know what I mean? USA, if they lose this one, then have to go to Japan. Makes it very hard to make the semifinals as well. A lot of pressure on these teams. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go on.
All right, give me your prediction.
USA. USA 32. Canada 21.
Ooh, I'm going to go USA 28, Canada 19. Let's go with it, all right?
Okay.
They'll remember this. We'll review them next week.
Yes.
If they're right, we'll be talking ourselves at oracles. If they're wrong, we'll be sweeping them under the rug. All right, everyone. That is a wrap for this week's show. It's been absolutely outstanding to have you all with us on this journey. And a reminder, there is tons of action coming up this weekend in the Asahi Super Dry Pacific Nations Cup. First off, Thursday evening, you'll see Samoa hosting Tonga. Huge game there for Samoa to bounce back after a loss against Fiji. And then on Saturday, we see the USA Eagles back in action. They're taking on their old rival in Canada. That's on Saturday evening. That is at Dignity Health Sports Park in LA. What a matchup from all of us here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.